And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with its glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become a habitation of devils. And behold, every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird, for all nations have drunk of the wine of her wrath and her fornication. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out, come out, come out of her tradition, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sin, and that ye receive not her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God had remembered her iniquities, and reward her even as she rewards you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she had filled, fill of her double. How much she had gloried in herself, and lived luxuriously, so much torment and sorrow giveth her. For she said in her heart, I sat as a queen, I am not a widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plague come upon her in one day, death and mourn and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For strong is the Lord who judgeth her. The kings of the earth who had committed fornication and lived luxurious with her shall wail with her and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for fear of her torment, saying, At last, the great city of Babylon, the mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and pearls and fine linen and purple and scarlet and silk and all kinds of wood and all kinds of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels with precious wood and brass and ivory and marble and cinnamon and odor and ornaments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and carriages and slaves and all sorts of men. And the fruits that the soul lust after are departed from her, and all the things which are dear and good are departed from her, and thou shalt find them no more at all in her. And the merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, saying, At last, the great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearl. For in 1 hour so great a riches come to naught. And every shipmaster and all the companies of ships and sailors, and as many that trade by the sea, stood afar off. And they cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? The great city is destroyed. And they cast dust upon their heads and cried, wailing, saying, At last, the great city, which was made rich of all the ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. Rejoice over her, thou heavens, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you for her. And a mighty angel stood up and took a stone like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus shall this great city Babylon be torn down, and shall be found no more. And the voice of the harpers and the music and the pipers and the trumpets shall be heard no more in her. And the craftsmen with all kinds of crafts shall not be found in her anymore. And the sound of the millstone shall not be heard in her anymore. And the light of the candle shall shine no more on her. And the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride shall be heard no more in her. For the merchants, which were great men of the earth, and by their sorcery were all the nations deceived. And in her was found the blood of the prophets and the saints, and all that was slain upon the earth were found in her.